This is Joe Misich with Nebula Solutions Group. Today, we're going to take a look at Kanban in SAP, specifically the Fiori applications that have just been released in the last 2 or 3 years. If you've used Kanban in SAP before, a lot of what you're going to see looks very familiar. If you haven't, then this will be pretty new. We're just going to look at the purchasing side of this. We're not going to look at Kanban where you're triggering production orders or STOs. We're going to look at just some very simple ones, a very simple two-bin system, two-status system, and show you what you can do there. Maybe in some later videos we'll go into depth on some more functionality. Okay, let's go into the app and take a look at what we can do. If you're familiar with the app in the regular GUI that's been in SAP for quite a while, this should look fairly familiar. It's not exactly like in the GUI, but it's very similar. What you'll see here is the Kanbans that we have set in 2 different production supply areas and their statuses. This is a simple example where I have empty or full. You can do all kinds of different statuses depending on your process and the complexity of your Kanban. For this demonstration, we're going to do a simple empty or full. If we take a look at this first one, this 411 gear set, we've got 2 full, 3 empty. So 3 red, 2 green. Let's take a look at the MD04 stock requirements and see what it tells us. In the stock requirements, or the material coverage as it's called here, you'll see we've got three different purchase orders. These correspond to the 3 empty Kanbans. As they're marked as empty, a purchase order is created, and then you'll see that. Now, this particular material is set as an inventory material. We'll show in other examples where it can be a non-stock, and there's some other options within the non-stock or expensed parts, things like your hardware and things that you expense, but they're still crucial to the production, so you still want to have them there, but you don't want to have them as an inventory item, and you don't want to control them and see them as on your inventory balance. Okay, so let's go ahead and use one of these. So let's take one of these full containers, and we're going to click on it, and immediately you see this now, this blue button up here says set the status to empty. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's now empty, so now we have 4 empty and 1 full. And you see now there's a purchase order item there. If we now go back into our material coverage and refresh, you see 3 POs now, and after I hit refresh, I now see 4, right? So there's that emptying of the Kanban automatically created a inventory PO. Now, when this PO arrives, it's simple as we'll just pick any one of the Kanbans, and we will set this to full, and we'll see what happens. So we get a purchase order item, was the one we created previously, and now we got a last material document. Let's go take a look at the material document. We're going to display a list. Just look at the documents from today. Execute. Here's our document. Let's drill into it. And you see post goods receipt for PO. We have a storage location for the Kanbans. You see the PO data that it was set by. You see there's just a profit center. There's no accounting because this is an inventory item. Okay, let's look at another thing we can do. So we've got 2 other items here, and these are expensed items. This happens to be welding wire. So I've got 2 different welding wire items in a fab supply area. And you'll notice I've got some in inventory here. I've got nothing in inventory here. So let's take a look at this first one here, and we'll talk about how they're different. Similar situation, I have 2 full, 3 empty. So let's go ahead and empty one of these and take a look at what happens. On the surface, nothing different happened, right? It was full, now it's empty. The difference from the previous one is now there's no inventory. The goods receipt expensed the item. So from an inventory point of view, there is no inventory. However, from a Kanban point of view, you can now have empty and full bins that don't affect your inventory balance. However, when you mark them to empty, it does create the PO. When you mark them as full, it does a goods receipt that actually expensed the cost to the cost center. So in this last example, it's still an expense item, but it's handled slightly differently. So all of our Kanbans are empty. Let's go ahead and set one to full and see what happens. Okay. We get a PO and we get a goods receipt. So let's take a look at this PO. So here's our item. You'll notice there's no account assignment. There's a storage location. This is an inventory PO. So that's different from one thing. Let's go back. Let's look at our material document. And it's a goods receipt to unrestricted use stock. So when we take this Kanban, take the full Kanban and set it to empty, we get another material document here. Let's look at that. And we're going to drill into it. And we see goods issue for cost center. Now it's out of stock, it's been issued, and it's charged to the cost center. So that's just a couple of ways you can handle Kanban. Again, this is the very simplest of versions. Obviously there's in transit, there are different settings there. You can do this in production, and perhaps we'll do the production side in another video. One of the other things that makes this app very handy is it's iPad capable. You can take this out on the floor and mark the bins empty or full right there next to them without having to have some special mobile device. And if you see here on the screen, all the screens look the same, functionality is the same. So if you have Wi-Fi on your floor, this becomes a great option. So as you can see, this Fiori app is very handy for implementing Kanban in a very simplified manner. The ability to use the iPad out on the floor, I think, is a game changer. Previously, you'd have to have custom apps written on some sort of mobile device to do that, or a set kiosk. This makes just having some sort of tablet attached to a cart, maybe set up as a kiosk, very easy to deploy. The system can't get any simpler to use. It's customizable if you need to add things like other status, in transit status, in process statuses, beyond just the simple empty and full. But I think this is a very nice functionality. I think a lot of production floors are using Kanban. Maybe it's the traditional card system. This can be a nice upgrade to that, a nice addition to this. If you like what you saw, please let us know in the comments. If there's something you'd like to see, maybe it's production capabilities or some other thing, also put it in a note in the comments, and we'll try to answer any questions you might have. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this.